This is The Devil Wears SPF, hosted by Diane Brennan and Carolyn Hawes, for women who moisturize like it's a religion and still forget where they parked.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Devil Wears SPF podcast. We have another fabulous show for you today. I'm Diane Brennan, one of the hosts of the podcast. I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Carolyn Hawes.
Hi, everybody.
And we have the fabulous Emily Arner joining us today.
Hello.
She is a social media influencer. She is a good friend of the podcast, and we're lucky enough to have her join us today. So our motto is skincare, soul care, midlife, not today, Satan. And so today we're going to touch upon the soul care of our podcast as well. We're going to get a lot of fabulous tips from Emily too, and find out what she does with her skincare and find her favorites. But Carolyn, you had a great idea to start off the show.
I was thinking that we could pull a card. So when you say stop, I will pull the card out, and that will be your card for the day. We're going to start with some inspiration, ladies. How does that sound?
All about positive thinking, and that's why we have Emily on the show today, because we are so inspired by her story and what she's gone through and how she's come out of it. So if any of us had tough times, which we all do all the time, it's all about mindset.
Okay, here we go. I'm just going to put my mic down.
All right. Stop.
Your card says, everything I touch is a success. I know I can be as successful as I make up my mind to be. I move into the winning circle. Golden opportunities everywhere for me. Prosperity of every kind is drawn to me. That's you, baby.
I love that. I love that so much. And I think it's very true. I think it's very much about your mindset and how you decide that you're going to be productive, be positive, be all these things. If you make up your mind that you're not going to be those things, then you're not going to be those things. One of the things with my story is we had a lot going on and I was in a really bad place, and I kind of made the decision that I was going to look at things, find the positive in things and find the good in things. And I kind of have to make that decision every day. And I do make that decision every day. And that kind of changed everything for dealing with all the stuff that we were dealing with and what we were going through, was just having that mindset and saying, I'm going to bring the good to me, and I am going to, even if it's a crappy day and there's crappy stuff that's happening, when you find that little bit of good in all of that, it changes your whole perspective and it makes things better, and it makes it easier to then continue to find the good in things and to stay positive.
Yeah, it's a conscious habit, isn't it? It's a choice.
Very much.
It's a choice, and the consciousness that you bring to it creates a habit eventually. But you're right. Your brain can be just amplifying it without even realizing. You're thinking about things in a negative response cycle, and that just keeps coming to you.
I can't wait to delve into your story because what you've been through, it would take me a while to get out of the fetal position on the floor. So I'm excited to share your story with everyone because it's really inspiring.
So my husband and I have been together for a long time. We have 3 kids. We have a 13-year-old who's actually from my previous marriage, and then my husband and I together have our twins who are 5.5. And we finally bought a house a couple years ago. Things were going really well. He is in IT. He's at the time was a VP of in IT, specifically healthcare. He's very, very, very smart, and had a really big job. So we finally bought a house. We put a whole bunch of money into doing our backyard. We had this beautiful backyard. We replaced all the windows in the house. We were in the middle of a couple other improvement projects, and my husband lost his job. The company that he worked for, they essentially closed his entire division, and then they ended up selling the company off about 6 months later. So it wasn't anything that he had done, but because we had bought the house and we'd been putting all this money into the house, we didn't have any savings because we'd been putting it all into the house. It really obviously when anybody loses their job, it puts you into just a terrible situation. And well, I I was working. I had been working as a flight attendant. At the time, I was only a year into flying, and so that means that being at the new, your pay is low, and I didn't make a whole lot of money. Um, so I started working as much as I possibly could. I was generally home maybe 4 or 5 days a month, and I was gone the rest of the time working as much as I possibly could just to keep food on the table. Um, so at least we had some income, but we went from his very large salary to living off of my salary that, isn't even above, you know, poverty level, basically. And at the beginning, when it first happened, we assumed that he would be able to find a job very quickly. He has a great resume, and a couple months later, we realized that it was going to be harder, like, for him to find a job than we had thought. We were barely getting by, but we were at least covering our utilities and putting food on the table and our biggest thing was making sure that the kids were okay and that they weren't feeling any of the stress, that as much as we could avoid it. And, but obviously my husband and I were under a lot of stress and that I'm that I'm gone all the time. I'm
Yeah.
working constantly. So I was exhausted and just the stress level was through the roof. It was just crazy stressful. And he just was not getting any leads, like he was not having any luck finding anything. And we started to realize that there was a good chance we were going to lose our house. We did, everything that we could. I mean, we tried everything. We tried every option. Our mortgage company just wasn't willing to work with us at all. They were a terrible mortgage company to begin with, very predatory. And obviously we didn't realize that when we took out the
Right.
mortgage with them.
Right.
But August, I think, is when we found out for sure that we were going to lose the house. And we had until the end of September to be out. Um, we had 2 cars, one was paid off, the other one we were paying on. We lost the car, end of September, we had to move out of the house. We had a place lined up to move into, and that very last minute fell through. And then, of course, we're scrambling to find someplace else to live. We ended up being in the hotel for 2 months.
You've got 2 little kids, one older.
Yeah. So my 13-year-old fortunately was able to stay with his dad, which was amazing that his dad was able to do that, but it's a very, very small, confined space with two little kids who are just, like, chaotic. And again, we had this really great backyard, and we spent so much of our time outside in the backyard, and all of a sudden, we're on the second floor of a hotel, and we have no outdoor space to go hang out and let them run and get the energy out. And um so it was s- just, I mean, it was we were thankful that we had that and we had a place to live and we weren't homeless, because we definitely had moments where we really thought that we were going to be homeless. Like, we literally didn't know what we were going to do. So just trying to keep, paying for the hotel every week, and being able to get groceries and that sort of stuff was, I
Incredible.
can't even explain
Yeah.
the stress level
Yeah.
that there was, like, every day. It was, what's gonna happen? How are we gonna pay for this?
And you're trying to pretend like everything's okay for the kids, right? Because you don't wanna get
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that, and then at work as well, I did my best to, when I went to work, it is a very customer facing job. I had to put on a smile every day and pretend like everything was okay. Like I said, I didn't know how else to get through that other than waking up every morning and making the decision that I was going to find the positive in it and find at least something good every day and find something small that was good, because it would have been so easy to just dwell in the negative. During all of that, my son ended up in the hospital. My twins are a boy and a girl, and my boy ended up in the hospital for like a week, um, because of a condition that he has. And so, all of that, living in a hotel and all of that, and then my son's in the hospital and I'm having to stay in the hospital with him, and it would have been so easy to let that all of that stuff that was going on
Mhm.
just pull me down and just take over and be overwhelming and be enough to just, crawl into a dark hole and never want to come out.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
um but I made that decision that I was not going to do that. And it was a very conscious decision that I was going to not succumb to just the darkness that was all around us. I mean, it felt like we were in the middle of a storm. I mean, it just felt like this
You were,
giant storm.
you were.
It was absolutely. I mean, it felt like dark clouds and thunder and lightning, and we couldn't see what direction to even go to get out of the storm.
Yeah.
And then not only are you trying to keep yourself and your kids healthy, but you have your partner that might be down in the dumps too. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
you have to be on the same page in order to get through this for sure.
Yeah. And he definitely we definitely dealt with it a little bit differently. He was dealing with a lot of depression because obviously he can't find a job, he can't provide for his
Oh,
family,
yeah.
and he
Yeah.
felt awful, and he felt so guilty, and just beat himself up a lot because of the position we were in. No matter how much I told him, like, it wasn't his fault. It's things happen. We just have to figure out how to get through and one step at a time. So yeah, we dealt with it a little bit differently, but I think that was that much more reason that I was so insistent on finding the positive and finding the good and making that choice to do that, because I felt like I had to do that for him as well, to help
Right.
keep to help get him through it, because if I had given into the depression and just the darkness, like, I think we would have just imploded. So I think me going the other direction and just saying, I'm gonna find the good, and I'm going to gonna hang on to any little bit of positivity that I can. I think that helped him get through as well. We did really lean on each other, and we did make it through together. We definitely had moments where we bickered and um but
Yeah.
for the most part, we very much leaned on each other, and lots of discussions about, what do we do? How do we get through this? How do we keep things okay for the kids? How do we put on a brave face? How do we do this, and how do we dig ourselves out of this hole that we're in? And I know a lot of couples going through stuff like that don't make it through. There are a lot of
Mhm.
divorces come from those kinds of situations. And
Extreme
so
stress. Yeah.
I'm very thankful that we did we didn't let it break us. We kind of put our heads together and figured out how to get through it together.
Any advice for someone who's going through that and they feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel? Like, what are some, a lot of people say, well, just think positive. How do you shift your mindset? Like, what did you actually do step by step when you thought nothing's getting better and you want to curl up into a ball in the corner? What did you mentally do, and so that people can actually use these concrete steps to be able to help them?
Yeah. So, the one thing I did was every morning when I got up, kind of I would take a couple minutes for myself, which is hard to do with 5-year-old twins, but take as much as a couple minutes for myself as I could. I would kind of reflect on the day before and look at the day and go, okay, here's this one good thing that happened out of all the bad things that happened. Here's this one good thing, like, we were able to pay this bill yesterday. And that's a positive, right? Even if everything else during the day sucked. It was anything. I would find
Right.
anything. I would find
Right.
any little thing that was good from the day before, and just kind of dwell on that and say, okay, like, that was good. That was a good thing. And I'm going to focus on that. Whatever it was, really taking the time and thinking about that, and focusing my energy on that, the fact that there was, in all of this world of awfulness that was going on, there were still good things there, and there were good things happening, and there were good things that were worthwhile, amidst all of the other stuff. Really kind of catching it and catching those moments that are good, it makes it easier to find them the next time. You know, if you're dwelling on the negative, it's so easy to find the negative and everything. If you just if you're living in that headspace of negativity, everything seems negative, and like just everything seems bad. Even if it's one small thing, that one good thing, you find that, and then it becomes easier as you practice doing that. It was
Right.
just finding the one little good thing.
Reframing it in a positive mindset. So did you express gratitude? We hear, the great Oprah always taught, she was the one that introduced gratitude to us. Is it fair to say that you express gratitude for all the positive things?
Yes. Yeah. That was absolutely, yeah. I was able to sit and have a good cup of coffee today, or I'm thankful that we were able to pay that bill. Like, yes, very much seeing it and acknowledging it and being thankful for it.
You were in survival mode. Did you realize when you got to the other side of it and your breath started to be a little bit deeper and smoother and things were changing for you? What was that experience like?
100% in survival mode, which is a very long time to be kind of on edge constantly, and you're constantly waiting for something else to happen. It takes a toll on your body, and it just everything is affected. I mean, everything. My hair was falling out like crazy, and I was exhausted, and I just felt like I couldn't breathe at all. But my husband did end up getting a job. He'd gotten kind of a part-time like contract thing that had started in October, so that helped a little bit, but he ended up getting the job he has now, which is VP of their AI market for a healthcare company. So that is kind of when all of a sudden we went, okay, we have got to get out of this hotel. We have to find a place to live. It was really hard trying to find. We got denied for a couple places, which then is just that much more. We're like, we can't even find a place to live. But we ended up finding our landlords are absolutely fantastic, and they understood the situation. So we were able to move in. It was like a couple days before Thanksgiving. So that was kind of the first breath of air that we had in months, and it being right before Thanksgiving. And we have all of a sudden we have a lot to be thankful for, because we are not living in a hotel anymore, just having our own bathrooms, and the kids having their own room again, and having a full kitchen to cook. Like, I can't even put into words how it felt like this giant breath of air, and like so much weight lifted off our shoulders. Feeling that stability again, where things had been so unstable for so long, just days before Thanksgiving really felt um kind of um it just, I can't even think of the
It
word I'm
was meant
looking
to
for.
be. It was
It was meant to
momentous. It was
be.
like, yeah,
Our,
Yeah.
yeah.
our homes are our havens and our safe places. So to feel that safety again, which we need as women to feel safe, it's so important.
Yeah.
Huge. What I find so amazing is you are a successful social media influencer. When did you start that? And did you incorporate that did you bring viewers along with you, your
I
followers?
did. I did. Before I went back to work as a flight attendant, I had 6 years, between, we went through IVF for the twins, and then once I got pregnant with them and then having them, I was off work. I stayed home for 6 years. So kind of during all of that I was home. I had a lot of free time. I mean, not a lot of free time, because I had newborn twins, and then, as they got older, but I had free time. So it became this where I was like, this is like a thing to do that's fun. Doing videos kind of became this thing where I really enjoyed it. I do enjoy it. And, kind of documenting like the twins. And when I decided that I was ready to come back to work is kind of when I said, like, I'm gonna document this a little bit more, and like really do more videos, just to share people, because people are interested in it. It's, being a flight attendant is interesting, and people want to know about it. It's a unique job. So while I was going through training, is I was doing videos and like talking about what training is like, and just all of it that goes along with that. So it started then, building and growing, and then so when we did last year when we were going through all of this, I was very open and honest and about all of it and sharing it with my followers and just saying, I know I'm not the only one going through this. I know there's a lot of people going through this, and so and I really during that time really was focusing on talking about finding joy and finding gratitude and finding those little moments that help us get through, and I think as much of it was sharing with other people, it was also a lot of a reminder to myself daily to do those things and to find the joy and find the
Yeah.
gratitude. It was helpful for me to say those things to myself, as it was, I think, to say them out loud for other people to
Right.
hear as well.
Did the feedback from them help you too with mood and boosting you? Because I'm sure everyone was supportive. I know some people can be very cruel, um, out there.
They can be, but I'm really fortunate. Like I didn't get almost like never got any negative. Like it was very, very positive and people just saying, I went through that a couple years ago. I've been through that and I understand. And just, if you need to talk, I'm here. And like it was, everybody was very, very supportive and wonderful. So, cause it is kind of with doing social media, it's all you always kind of have that like m in the back of your head, like, "Am I gonna get negativity for this?" And with everything else that was going on, like, negativity from social media was the last thing that I needed, so it was
Yeah.
kind of always a little bit of a concern that, like, I don't know if I can take on that
It's
on
very
top of everything
vulnerable.
else. It
It's very
is.
vulnerable. Yeah.
It is.
And you know what? I think, and I was just, that's a perfect word, Carolyn, is the vulnerability. Like, thank you for showing your vulnerability and sharing that with us. And I think when you do that, people see the real you and they respond and they want to help you. So I'm glad that they gave you, a little boost that you probably needed when times were dark.
They did.
Yeah.
I think I relied on that a lot to kind of to get through and 'cause it did help. It did help for sure to have people say, "I've been there and I understand, and it's not fun and it
Yeah.
sucks and I get it." And, just sometimes
Yeah.
hearing that other people understand and, have been there before kinda helps go, "Okay, if they got through, I can get through this. I can do this."
It's very normalizing, and it's a gift when you give that to other people. And as you had mentioned a little bit earlier, through all of this too, you're starting to go through perimenopause.
Mhm. Yes, I think it probably started last year, but again, because we had so much stress and we were in just survival mode, I couldn't necessarily distinguish the difference between the stress and then my hormones being off. So I'm not quite sure when it really started, but in the last few months, I kind of started just go like I feel kind of off. Like I feel like things are normalized and I should be like good and I just kind of don't feel that way. About a month ago, I finally said, I'm 45, getting ready to turn 46. I'm like, I think I probably need to have my hormones tested because I just feel off, and that's, like, the best way I can
Yeah.
describe it. I just feel
Yeah.
off, and I'm not sleeping well. So, got my hormones tested, and all my hormones are basically non-existent. So it's probably been like I said, it's probably been going on for a while, and I just wasn't like, just
There was
couldn't
so much else
differentiate
going on for
that I
you that it's
yeah,
easy to
couldn't
attach it to something else happening
right.
situationally, right?
Yeah. So hormones are just non-existent and so it's time to start taking hormone therapy replacement. So I actually just got my meds yesterday and I did my first shot of testosterone this this morning and I'm going to start the estrogen and the progesterone. I'm starting those this week as well. So I'm very excited to kind of because everybody that I've talked to that is going through this has been through this says that, the hormone therapy or hormone replacement therapy was just game changer. Diane and I have had this conversation a couple times recently about what a game changer it is um, for everything.
Your husband's gonna be so excited when that test.
I know. I think he already is with just the idea of like the fact that, that wanting to have sex again might be on the table because, just
You're going to have sex on the table? Come on, lady. That's a lot of
maybe.
info.
So yeah, I'm excited about feeling like myself again and just
Yeah.
having more energy and having interest in sex because that's just, like been non-existent. And I miss that. Don't we all miss that when
Yeah.
when that
Yeah.
happens. And so we'll see. I know that it can take some time to kind of figure out doses and kind of get all of it right and kind of find the right balance on all of it. But just kind of being able to know that that's what's going on with me and that it's, my hormones are just I don't have
Isn't it?
hormones anymore and being
Yeah.
able to know, okay, well there's something we can do about it and try and fix that is
And that you're not just losing your mind.
and then I'm not just losing my mind. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, cause that's definitely what it feels like is you just kind of feel like you're just like halfway through a sentence, you forget what you're saying. So it definitely it makes you feel a little crazy for sure. So I'm very excited to kind of feel like myself again.
I am so grateful that we live in a time where now hormone replacement is becoming the norm and doctors and the medical field is realizing how important it is. Can you imagine our moms that just had to sit there suffering and we're told
And
that
I
everything's fine and oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, just go take a nap.
Yeah.
And yeah, and and I think that especially the last couple of weeks, I have thought about that so much. Thinking back to when my mom was kind of this age and she was probably going through perimenopause and didn't realize that that's what it was. And, I just remember her being tired and just, yeah, forgetting stuff all the time. I remember her being like off and her being like, her just kind of acting weird. And I think that very much was when she was going through it. And there was just no understanding of the fact that that's what was going on, and she just had to kind of suffer and push through it with 4 kids. I feel so bad for her that this was not like an option for her.
yeah, what a feeling. Everyone's telling you
Yeah.
to be fine, you're feeling these ways and it's just I feel like we're just told to put out to pasture. Now, studies
Yeah.
show that the lack of estrogen, it can be linked to dementia and
Heart
uh,
disease. Yeah.
all sorts of health problems for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am. Like you said, I'm so thankful that we live in a time where this has become more normal and there's understanding about this. I think that's amazing that we are talking about this more and that we're
The
not alone
fear,
in it.
the fear
Yeah.
that was driven about it being so highly linked to estrogen, especially being so highly linked to breast cancer, the false fears that were put out there, and doctors eliminating that as an option for women is the realization now 20 years later is that that didn't exist, and that was a highly swayed, research effort that had happened. I'm really grateful too that we have these
The
options.
federal government here in the US has recognized now the importance of that they're going to do a better job of making that available to women. If they could only cover it with healthcare now, right,
Yeah.
ladies?
Yeah.
Care.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I'm in Canada and I'm in British Columbia, and British Columbia announced that as of March 1st, estrogen and progesterone are now fully covered for women. So
That's
that was
amazing.
a huge step, and all of these things,
Is it like that
all
for
of
the
these
rest
things.
of Canada or just BC? Do you know?
I think it's provincially. It's through the provincial healthcare system. So hopefully, it starts to make some changes elsewhere, but it is a ripple effect. What other things are you doing for your skin then?
Yeah, so skin changes has been a big thing. It feels like, just all the fine lines and are starting to get much more noticeable and
You have no ring. Listen, girl.
I oh, I do. Oh, I do. They're there. But I have been, over the last like 2 months, I've really started to focus on skincare. I've never been a big skincare person, like never put moisturizer on, like I'd wash my makeup off and like that was it. Never did anything else. So I have really gotten into the last couple months. I love under eye patches, like I do those all the time. I just had microneedling done for the first time day before yesterday. So I'm very excited about doing that a couple times and, to help because that helps so much with collagen and elastin production. So it's only been 2 days, so I don't not necessarily seeing too much of a difference at this point.
Yeah. Tell people, just kind of run through it to explain to people who have never done microneedling what happened.
Essentially, it's like a pen and it has little needles in it and they just roll all around on your skin. And what it does is it puts your skin into repair mode, because you have all these little tiny,
Micro injuries.
yes, micro injuries to your skin. So it puts your skin in repair mode where then it automatically causes your skin to start producing more collagen to fix all of those micro injuries. Doing it a couple times, couple months in a row is really what is the most effective. And then after that, maybe you do it every 3 to 4 months, kind of once you get to a point where you're really happy with how your skin looks. I'm super excited about doing that, doing that just, consistently. So I have found just over the last few months paying more attention to my skin and doing things like using a toner and using hyaluronic acid and using um a good moisturizer, my skin feels so much better. It doesn't feel tight and dry anymore. It feels nourished. And I'm kind of still in that phase of like just trying different products. I'm still trying different ones and to kind of find the right
For you.
regimen for my skin and what works best for my skin. Like I'm honestly like I'm obsessed with it now.
And as a flight attendant, you can go to Korea and pick up your stuff.
I'm hoping that I could go hop on a plane and go to Korea and, get some Botox done and get some, like, beauty products from Korea.
Exciting. Very exciting.
Do you have any beauty secrets?
My beauty tip is find what makes you feel confident, whatever that is.
And you're a great example of that, Emily, and your journey on social media, sharing your life and all that you went through, the recognition that just finding something to be happy about in the smallest things each day is also a huge beauty secret and a contributor to your health and to how you feel about yourself. Thanks for
Yep.
sharing that.
And you can find Emily. Let me see if I remember this correctly.
The Emily Arner on Instagram. I think it's just
We'll,
Emily Arner on TikTok.
we'll put all your contact information in the notes. So everybody
Awesome.
can go follow her. If you could follow us and subscribe to our
Yeah.
YouTube channel. But congratulations on your success. You're a joy to know and to have as a friend. And thank you so much for taking this time to share your story with us and being vulnerable. We appreciate it.
Thank you for being here and having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us for another edition of The Devil Wears SPF. Please subscribe, and we will see you next time.
See ya.
Till next time, keep being your badass selves.